Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to Axel's Garage. We are back working on Amanda's Wrangler. So it's her clutch, transmission, transfer case, blown apart. Let's get this Jeep back on the road. Project that's been taking way too long. And it's been taking way too long because it rains every freaking weekend. We had 2 weekends moving the kids into school or some crap like that. Move the kids into school was a week and a weekend on the front, weekend on 2 weekends. And then we went down to see Emily, and that was a weekend. And every other weekend, it's been raining, and I mean, not just a little rain, a lot of rain. And I'm not laying under the Jeep in the rain. Way too old for that. But we finally got a nice week. It's actually been cold all week, and then all of a sudden, what is today? It's like, it's got to be 80 degrees today. It's the end of October, and we got an 80-degree Saturday. So I went over back to the shop, and I picked up the Flywheel. It's been resurfaced. I'll show you that. So it's resurfaced. It is covered in a light film of oil, which I'm not concerned with right now. I have my pressure plate bolts and my flywheel bolts all cleaned off. I used a little PB blaster and a wire toothbrush. Cleaned them off all nice, wiped them down with a rag. I didn't use brake clean on them. This way they don't rust. I just cleaned off all the residual oil with a shop rag. That's perfect, no big deal. So now I got the Flywheel. It is covered in oil. I chased out all of the pressure plate mounting holes to make sure that any residual filings from the machining process are out of there, and those bolts will go in nice, and I'll be able to torque them down nice. Now what I have to do is the pilot bearing. I've had the pilot bearing in the freezer, so I'm going to grab that. Hopefully this sitting in the 80-degree sun for the last 45 minutes, and the pilot bearing in the freezer will maybe make it slide right in. Maybe not. Maybe I'll have to bang it in. But it was worth the shot anyway. So we got the pilot bearing from the freezer, and it is not going to slide in easily. Almost felt like it wanted to. Check from the back. Nope, same thing. So looks like my thing is bottoming out. I'm using these brass ones just so that I don't mess it up. Seeing how much room I have in the back, I think it's only got to go a little farther. Yep, perfect. You can see where I brought it to in the back, just so that it's even with where it starts to bevel. That's the spot the old one was in. Hopefully it's in the right spot for this. I don't really think it matters all that much. I did spray a little lube along here and let it rush down into the hole to try to make it easy to go in. I don't know if having it in the freezer made it easier to slide in or not. Who the heck knows, but it's in, and I'm happy. All right, so I'm just wiping off the back, making sure I got no residual schmutz or anything. All right, and then I'm gonna lift the flywheel up. I wiped off the back of the flywheel as well. This is a little bit of a pain in the ass on your back because it's heavy. All right, and I wanna sort of get the flywheel into position there and just grab one bolt and try to find the hole so that it's being held up. And I'm going to grab the opposite one, and I want to loosely get that started as well. All right, and they're both in, and I'm just gonna wiggle and attempt to get all the other ones. So I got them all in. So everything's lined up, they're in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my impact and just put it on low, the number one. I'm gonna run them all in so that this is seated against the back of the crank. So now it's in position. So what I could do at this point is I'm going to start with my top one. I'm going to pull it out. Let me see if I can fix that light for you. I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to take the bolt and some Loctite, and I'm going to put a little Loctite on the bolt and send that back in. I'm going to drop a Loctite on that one, and I'm going to do all of them in the same way. All right, and that's my last one. So they're all just bottomed out. Now I got this is a 1/2 inch Milwaukee impact with a 3/4 inch socket on it. I don't know. So if I just tighten them like that, are they probably tight enough? Yeah, probably. Should I check them with a torque wrench? Yeah, probably. All right, the torque spec is 50 foot-pounds, then a 60-degree turn. So I'm going to take my torque wrench and let's just see. All right, 60 is definitely turning the flywheel. So with that initial blast, am I at the 50 foot-pounds? The torque spec on this is 50 foot-pounds plus a 60-degree turn. I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go one more blast, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it over? Probably. Because a 3/4 inch socket on that gun easily puts me in the 120 to 140 foot-pound range. When I'm doing a lug stud on a tire, I usually give it a little more trigger time, but I think I'm close enough for the flywheel in this project. I know I'll be able to blast them off with that if I ever had to take them off, but I think I'm good. All right, so what I do next is I come in here and I'm gonna use some wheel bearing grease on an acid brush and get some grease on the rollers of the pilot bearing. Again, this is just the way I do it. If you don't like to do it this way, don't do it this way. But we excessively lube everything here. What I'm going to do is I am now going to take some brake clean, spray it on a rag, and I'm going to spray it on the flywheel, not getting it on the pilot bushing. I'm going to give it a good wipe. I'm going to flip that rag over to the clean side. And I'm just using a blue shop towel, kind of paper towel. Now that we got a clean flywheel, I can get the clutch disc, put the clutch disc up and put the alignment tool through before we do the pressure plate. So our little baby clutch disc is marked flywheel side and gearbox side. So flywheel side, this side, that's where it says that. We will pop it right up there. I'll hold it up with my hands, trying not to touch the flywheel or the clutch disc itself, and I'll pop this guy into the pilot bearing. And I wish he would go farther into the pilot bearing so that I could so that this would stay in place. Why can't you go in farther? So I'm gonna pull it out. See why this guy's not going in. I don't know, he's bottoming out, he's going in all the way. It's just the design of the tool. So I guess I can't do that. I gotta go get that basket. I gotta put that basket up at the same time that I'm doing this. Oh, nothing is easy. So I'm actually sitting under the car. All right, I have the pressure plate or basket, however you call it. I'm gonna move the friction disc out of the way for now. All right, I'm gonna take a clean shop rag and put some brake clean on it so I can clean off the friction surface on the pressure plate like that. So now I got my clutch disc. It says gearbox side on that side, and it says flywheel side on that side right there. So now I am going to slide this up and onto the alignment tool. All right, so we'll get you back there. Oh, I gotta take the alignment tool out. I keep forgetting that. I'm gonna slide the alignment tool through, find the hole, put it in place. Double check it. Yes, it says gearbox side on that side. That's clean. This I haven't touched. The pressure plate friction surface is clean. So I'm going to bring this in. And I'm going to hold it like that. And I'm going to turn it until the holes line up, which they do there. And that is in. So while I'm holding this up, I'm going to grab one of my bolts. And just start it a couple of threads Throw another one over here. And just started a couple threads. Now, this is hanging all on its own. And I can take all my other bolts and I could put them in, and I am going to put them in just so that they're hand tight and I could still move the disc around. See how I can still move the disc? Well, I am not going to tighten any of these any more than that. I want to be able to move this disc around, and let me get a little wrench and we'll show you exactly why. So by eye, I kind of want to move that disc around. You want this tool to go in and out evenly. You want to make sure you got equal space around this part of the tool here. Because as you tighten these, let me just back a couple off. If I can move it a little again. There you go. See, I can move it a little now. I can move the alignment tool a little bit back and forth. I want to get it so that I'm in the middle. The tool is in the middle of the fingers. All right. And it goes in and out of the alignment tool. And once I'm pretty confident that I got that disc, oh, that's a loosen. You know, that goes in and out nice. So now I could just give them a little bit. And as I'm doing this, I'm still good there. I'm still centered there. If you watch these fingers, you'll see them starting to move a little bit as this tightens down. See how they're smushing down? Watch these over here. See how they smush down? You can see how they're all flattening out as I tighten it. All right, now they're all tight. I got equal space around it. The tool goes in and out nice and smooth, which is exactly what we want. So that when we slide the transmission in, the tip of the transmission shaft is going to slide right in to the grooves on the clutch disc and into the pilot bearing. And that's the alignment tool, is what this is. So now it's just a matter of tightening it down, and all I'm going to do is give it a little blast. The torque spec is 25 or 23 foot-pounds, and I'm just giving it a blast with the 1/2-inch Milwaukee and a real lightweight chrome socket, because if you watch my other videos on how that all works, it's mass matters, and a lightweight chrome socket's not going to over torque that too much. I'm happy with this. We're good there. This alignment tool can actually come out now. All right, you see it is covered in grease, and everything looks good here. So now all we got to do is get the throwout bearing installed on the transmission end, and the clutch setup is complete, and all we got to do is stab the transmission in once somebody comes to give me a hand. So here I have my old throwout bearing on the shaft that went in the transmission. And in the box here, got my new throwout bearing. It's got the wire clips on it that this one has. So it looks like it goes in this way. And this looks like you just grab those wire clips, slide them backwards, and it comes right out. Boy, that was pretty easy. All right, so the new one is going to go in the same way as the old one, but there comes a whole, do you lube this thing? And what I always learned with a throwout bearing was take some motor oil, wipe some motor oil on it, and then wipe it off with a rag. And the residual motor oil that's in the microscopic pock marks and grooves and machine marks in this throwout bearing will stop it from rusting over the years, and you don't need a bunch of grease or anything like that on it. So that's what I'm going to do. So right here, just have a little bit of motor oil. I'm going to pour some on there, pour a little on there, and I'm just going to go with my hands, and I'm going to wipe it into the metal, inside and out, get it all wet. What did I use? Less than an ounce of motor oil, right? And wipe it all up. Then I'm going to take a shop rag, and I'm going to wipe it all off. And when you're done, it's dry to the touch, but it's a little bit slippery. But it is dry to the touch. All right, so now I can take my throwout bearing, put it down, and figure out how. Kind of got to bring it in on a little bit of an angle. Get those clips to come in. Yeah, it's a lot tighter going in than it was coming out. Might need a little screwdriver to help me. So I'm going to take a little flat blade screwdriver to help give me a little room. But he's probably yelling at this screen right now saying, no, not that way. All right. Whew. Man, that was a battle. Okay. All right. So that is in. It's into the grooves. It's locked in. We can go over to the transmission. All right. So here on the transmission side, I did the same thing. I cleaned this off with a real mild wire toothbrush, and then I coated it in oil, and I wiped the oil off to prevent corrosion and to give a good surface for that freeze-out plug to freeze-out plug. Wow. Good surface for the throwout bearing to ride on. I also put a little grease on the pivot nub, And what I'm going to do on this end is just put a little grease in the both cups. So one of these cups is for the pivot nub, and the other cup is for the slave cylinder that'll come through this part of the transmission here. All right, and now this can pretty much just slide right over the shaft, and it goes onto that nub there, and this is pretty much how it works. When this presses, right, it's gonna rotate on this and move in and out just like that. And that's it until we stab the transmission in. So from Axel's Garage, we got another step closer to getting Amanda's TJ done. Hope you enjoyed the quick video. That's setting up the clutch and getting ready for installation. When Mark comes over, hopefully soon, I'm waiting, we'll be able to stab this transmission in there and get on to the next step. Thanks for watching.